Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is build a funnel. So a funnel has two parts. It's going to have a circular part and then a rim which goes around it. So we're going to need to trace something that is circular. I'm going to use my handy dandy dining room table candle. This is probably the smallest that you want your funnel to be. The bigger the funnel, kind of the longer the marble takes to go around and around and around and fall through the middle. So if you want something with a little bit more action time, you want to go bigger. So I'm going to trace my candle on my 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Put that back. So here's my circle. Okay, now that you have your circle all cut out, I want you to eyeball where the middle of it is. Put a little dot. Okay. Now I want you to cut straight to that dot. Alright, so now you are going to be able to, using this cut, create your actual funnel or your cone shape. Before we make that cone shape, using this dot as a guide, you are going to cut a teeny weeny little hole, a hole big enough for a marble to fit through. So you want to make sure it's at least 1 centimeter in diameter. Essentially cutting the dot out. Okay, now you are going to take your shape, and by overlapping, you can turn it into the cone. So when you have that cone created, go ahead and take a piece of tape, and you're going to want to tape the outside and the inside. Okay. Now, if you want your cone really steep, just know your marble is going to go through it super fast. And if you want your cone really shallow, it might take your marble a while. Your marble also might frolic right out of there. So I like to have mine somewhere in the middle. Okay, maybe right about here. So I'm going to tape the outside first. And then you want to be careful how you tape the inside. You don't want that bump to be too messy. You want the marble to glide right over it. So I just use one piece of tape, making sure there's no bubbles on the inside. Okay, now we're going to do the second part, which is the rim, which is going to make sure that the marble doesn't decide to pop right out. So you should have the rest of your paper here. Go ahead and cut off about 1.5 inches. Just eyeball it. You could do 2 inches. So I have a very skinny piece of cardstock. This is going to go around the outside of my cone. Now, if I had a very large cone, I might need to cut 2 of these out and tape them end to end so that I would have something big enough to go around the whole circumference of the cone. Okay, so I had a long piece of cardstock about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. I'm going to hot dog fold it. Okay, now go ahead and unfold that, but you can still see the fold. Okay, on the bottom, I'm going to put cuts up to the fold. And I like to have them about 1 centimeter apart. That might be too big right here. And keep going. Try not to go above that crease with your cuts. So now I have all these little cuts right here. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to take your cone and start with one cut on the end. And you're going to line it up. See if I can show you. You're going to line it up with the outside. So we're just looking at this panel right here. See the fold? I'm going to line up the fold with the outside. And I'm going to tape this piece right there. So I was only worried about this panel, wanting to make sure it lined up with the outer edge of the cone. See how that crease lines up with the outer edge of the cone? Now, and I like to make sure that these stick neatly behind, but you do not have to do that. I'm going to circle my whole strip around the cone. So I like to make sure that all of these fall in line behind each other. It's like a little secret so you don't have to tape them all. But I do like to tape about every fourth one. This is a little tricky. You just got to go panel by panel and tape as you go, making sure that you're lining up with the edge of the cone. Some of mine didn't go underneath. It's alright, I can just tape them. Now when you're taping, be careful that you do not cover your marble hole in the middle. Okay? You can always cut the tape out later. You want to be cognizant of that. I'm going to keep going around, taping as I go. And eventually going to reach the end. Oops. Okay. And then, see how that guy sticks out just a teeny bit? We're just going to tape them together. Okay, so this is my funnel. I have my nice little rim, and then when the marble drops in, it'll go around, hopefully, and then find its way through to the middle. Okay, make sure you leave that guy open.